Falling in love is often portrayed as an event, a lightning strike, a singular, overwhelming moment. But in truth, it is a process, an unfolding, a journey that requires surrender rather than resistance. It is not something to control or orchestrate, but something to flow into, like a river merging with the sea. To fall in love is to give yourself over to the currents of life and allow them to take you somewhere uncharted, somewhere profound. Life is an ever-changing stream of experiences, emotions, and connections. We often resist its flow, trying to control outcomes or shield ourselves from vulnerability. But love doesn't thrive in resistance. It asks us to let go, to abandon the walls we've built, to step out of our comfort zones, and to trust the rhythm of existence. Falling in love isn't a calculation or a choice made from fear. It is a leap into the unknown, guided by the heart. Surrendering to love means embracing vulnerability. To fall in love is to expose yourself, to remove the armor you've so carefully constructed, and to say, "Here I am, flawed and human." This act of surrender can feel terrifying because it requires trust in another, in the moment, and in the unfolding of life. But in this vulnerability lies the beauty of love. It is only when we let down our guard that we can truly connect, truly feel, and truly be. Many of us resist falling in love because we fear loss, rejection, or pain. But in doing so, we also deny ourselves the joy, growth, and transformation that love brings. To surrender to love is to accept that pain and joy are two sides of the same coin. The richness of love comes from its intensity, its unpredictability, and its ability to shape us. When we stop resisting the flow, we discover that even the challenges of love are opportunities to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world. Surrendering to love also means letting go of expectations. Often we approach love with a checklist, a set of ideals or conditions we believe must be met. But love doesn't adhere to a formula. It's not something you can plan or predict. It arrives unbidden, often when we least expect it, and it asks us to release our preconceived notions and simply be present. Love flourishes when we stop trying to control its direction and instead allow it to unfold naturally. When we surrender to the flow of existence, love becomes more than a relationship or an emotion. It becomes a way of being. We begin to see love not as something we fall into with another person, but as an energy that permeates everything, a connection to life itself. Falling in love, then, is not just about romantic connection. It's about falling into the moment, into the now, into the truth of who we are. By surrendering to love, we align ourselves with the flow of life. We discover that the most profound experiences often come not from striving but from letting go, not from resisting but from trusting. To fall in love is to step into the stream of existence with open arms and an open heart, ready to be carried to places you never imagined. Love, at its core, is not merely an interaction between two individuals. It is a profound realization of unity. True love transcends the boundaries of ego, self-interest, and separation. It begins when we recognize that we are not isolated beings, but threads woven into the vast tapestry of existence. In this realization, love ceases to be transactional or conditional and becomes an experience of wholeness. We often approach love as something external, something we give or receive, as though it exists in a vacuum. But true love arises from understanding that there is no other in the deepest sense. The distinctions we draw between you and me, mine and yours, are illusions of the mind. Beneath those layers lies a shared essence, a common existence. When we see this clearly, we stop treating love as a fleeting emotion or a commodity to be earned. Instead, we begin to embody it as a state of being. Seeing ourselves as part of the whole begins with self-love, not the kind of self-love rooted in vanity or arrogance, but the recognition of our intrinsic worth as part of the universe. Often we struggle to love others because we haven't yet embraced our own imperfections. But when we see ourselves with compassion, as an integral piece of the greater whole, we naturally extend that same compassion to others. Their flaws no longer seem threatening, and their struggles no longer feel foreign. We recognize in them the same humanity, the same longing, the same light and shadow that reside within us. When we view others as integral to the whole, love becomes expansive. It is no longer limited to the boundaries of romantic relationships or familial ties. It extends to all beings, all of life. This kind of love doesn't ask, "What can you do for me?" It simply acknowledges, "I see you and you are a part of me from this perspective." Love is not an action, but a connection, a recognition of the interconnected web of life. True love also dissolves the need for control or judgment. If we see ourselves and others as parts of the same whole, there is no need to dominate, manipulate, or fix anyone. Instead, love becomes an act of honoring the freedom and uniqueness of each being, while also cherishing the oneness that binds us all. This balance between individuality and unity creates a profound sense of harmony and belonging. When we embrace the interconnectedness of all things, we begin to approach love with humility and gratitude. We see the beauty in differences and the strength in unity. We understand that to love another is to love life itself, and to love life is to accept it fully, with all its complexities and contradictions. Ultimately, true love isn't something to achieve or find it something to awaken to. It's the understanding that we are not separate from one another or from the world. Love is the thread that ties us all together, and when we embrace that truth, we open ourselves to a deeper, richer, and more universal experience of life. In the end, love is not something we seek, earn, or conquer. It is something we awaken to. It is the fabric of existence itself, woven through every breath, every connection, and every fleeting moment. Love is the act of surrendering to the flow of life, of seeing ourselves and others as inseparable parts of a greater whole. It is not about possession, control, or perfection, but about freedom, trust, and embracing the present. True love asks us to be brave, to let go of fear, to embrace vulnerability, and to trust in the unfolding of the unknown. It invites us to step beyond the illusions of separation and ego, to recognize the unity that binds all life, and to cherish that connection. When we love deeply, without expectation or demand, we experience life in its purest, most transformative form. To fall in love with a person, with the world, or with the moment is to fall into the truth of what it means to be alive. It is to celebrate the beauty of impermanence, the power of connection, and the boundless nature of the human spirit. In love, we find not just another, but ourselves, and in doing so, we glimpse the infinite potential of existence. Let love guide you not as a destination, but as the journey itself. To fall in love is to dance with the universe. It's a surrender, a letting go of the need to analyze, to control, to demand. Falling in love is not merely about another person, it is an experience of awakening to the infinite beauty that surrounds us and resides within us. It is the heart whispering, "Be here, now." Life is often misunderstood as a puzzle that must be pieced together or a problem demanding resolution. From an early age, we're taught to think ahead, to plan, to conquer obstacles, and to solve riddles. While these skills have their place, they can blind us to the real essence of existence, the present moment. Life is not a puzzle, it's a dance. And the beauty of a dance is not in its completion, but in the joy of moving with its rhythm. When we treat life as a problem, we live in a state of resistance. We're either preoccupied with fixing the past or worrying about the future, as if happiness or meaning lies just over the horizon. But the truth is, life doesn't wait for us to arrive somewhere. It's already happening, right now, in this very breath, in this very heartbeat. To embrace life as an unfolding moment is to shift from resisting to allowing. It means letting go of the mindset that life needs to be anything other than what it is in this instant. Think about a piece of music or a sunset. You don't listen to a song just to hear the final note or watch a sunset solely to see the last ray of light. You engage with them fully, appreciating the progression, the nuances, the beauty of each fleeting moment. Life is no different. Its richness lies in experiencing it as it unfolds, not in racing toward an imaginary finish line. This perspective calls for trust in the flow of existence. We don't need to control or force every aspect of our journey. In fact, the most profound moments often occur when we surrender to what is, rather than fighting for what we think should be. A flower doesn't struggle to bloom, it simply opens to the sun. In the same way, we thrive when we stop trying to figure out life and start living it. When you embrace life as a mystery to enjoy, you begin to notice its small wonders. The way sunlight filters through the leaves, the sound of laughter, the feeling of a gentle breeze on your skin. These moments, though fleeting, hold infinite depth. They remind us that the magic of life is not hidden in grand achievements or future milestones, but in the subtle, often overlooked details of the present. This isn't to say life is without challenges, but even challenges can be approached with curiosity rather than resistance. They're part of the unfolding, an opportunity to grow, to learn, to deepen our experience. When we stop framing them as problems to be solved and instead see them as waves to ride, life becomes less of a battle and more of an adventure. Ultimately, to embrace life as an unfolding moment is to live fully. It's to recognize that this very moment, imperfect, unpredictable, and transient, is the only one we truly have. And in accepting it, in loving it, we find freedom, joy, and the quiet realization that life was never something to solve, but something to cherish. Love is often misunderstood in its essence. Many think of love as something to capture, hold or control, a treasure to guard, or a feeling to sustain at all costs. But true love is none of these. Love is not about ownership or control, it is about freedom, connection, and the courage to let go. It is not a cage, but an open sky, inviting us to soar alongside another while honoring their ability to fly on their own. When we approach love as possession, we reduce it to a transaction. We expect something in return: validation, loyalty, attention, and in doing so, we begin to limit its potential. But love cannot thrive in the shadow of control. It withers when confined, for its nature is expansive. To truly love is to accept that we do not own another person, their choices, or their journey. They remain as free as the moment we met them, and it is in that freedom that love finds its deepest meaning. Letting go in love does not mean indifference or abandonment. It means releasing the need to dictate how love unfolds. It means allowing space for imperfections, for growth, and for change. This openness requires trust in the bond you share, trust in the other person, and most importantly, trust in love itself. It's a recognition that love is not about filling a void or clinging to security, but about experiencing connection in its purest form. In letting go, love transforms from an act of taking to an act of giving. It becomes less about satisfying our desires and more about witnessing and supporting another's essence. You no longer seek to mold them into an image that serves your needs. Instead, you celebrate their individuality, their freedom, and their capacity to grow alongside you, not as something you control, but as something you honor. Consider the beauty of nature. The flower blooms not for your approval, but because it is its nature to bloom. You don't control the sunrise, yet it moves you with its magnificence. Love is the same. When you let go of trying to possess or control it, you begin to see it for what it truly is: a connection that transcends ego, boundaries, and expectations. Letting go also liberates you. It frees you from the exhausting effort of trying to manage or maintain something that was never meant to be controlled. When you release the fear of losing love, you open yourself to its abundance. You stop clinging and start appreciating. You stop fearing and start trusting. Ultimately, love is the act of embracing connection while remaining free. It is the courage to open your heart without the guarantee of permanence, knowing that its value lies not in its duration, but in its depth. When you love without trying to possess, you experience love as it was always meant to be: boundless, transformative, and profoundly alive.